FedEx full, we commanding the block. Burgundy and gold, got the city on lock. Hustling plays, they don't need to pretend. DC reppin' strong and we fight to the end. Commanders moving, no breaks, no pause. Hands in the dirt, respecting the call. K-Dot in the mid, dissect the grind. District divided with city in mind. Join the damn squad, don't miss a bit. And you gotta spread the word, so shit is shit. K-Dot.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divided, a DC sports podcast, more specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. I am Amit, that is K-Dot, and this episode, we are talking about the Washington Commanders, of course, as we always do, Combine Edition. So, Peters and Dan Quinn spoke to the media in Indianapolis just before the Combine begins. So did some of the players, some of the draft prospects like Ruben Payne, David Bailey, Caleb Downs, Sonny Styles. Like a lot of these guys have spoken to the media as well. So we're going to talk about these players, what we're hoping to see in the Combine, who we like going into the Combine, etc. Andrew Wylie re-signs with the team on a 2-year deal. We're going to talk about that. And Bobby Wagner and Zach Ertz have both said that they plan on playing next season, both of them out of contract with the Commanders, but they've been with us the last 2 years. Would we bring them back? And so before we begin this episode, which includes the comment mailbag, if you could please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and K-Dot.
Just got to remind everybody that Amit is not stateside, but not because ICE found him. Remember, his boy is JD. He's just visiting. Now, oh, shit. I think I froze for a second.
That was the worst pause of all time for this podcast. It just
They try to censor me constantly. Share this shit, people. You got to share the word. Like the Epstein file. Share it.
Share this shit. We greatly appreciate you guys. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it, beginning with Andrew Wylie. So beginning on the personnel side of things, he signs a 2-year deal worth $7.5 million, and that's upwards of $10.5 million with incentives. So before we get into, how many games he started, stuff like that, K-Dot, just on the surface, what do you think of this move here?
Don't give a shit. We need bodies. You remember what was on my wish list last week? Okay. Yeah, I'm all for this. Let's go. Chris Paul, you're next.
Chris Paul, you're next. Okay, that's an interesting one. So,
sign the bodies.
More details. Andrew Wylie started all the games in 2024 at right tackle, including the playoff games. Then we draft Josh Connerly. So now he's going to be the right tackle. We trade for Laremy Tunsil. He's going to be the left tackle. And so Andrew Wylie ends up becoming a backup. But he ends up starting some games at right guard when Nick Allegretti starts the season and just doesn't look very good. So he ends up filling in. Then Sam Cosmi comes back, and Wylie, I think, starts another game or two at the tail end of the season, ends up starting 5 games. So all in all, I think this is a very good move because now we have 4 of our 5 starting offensive linemen under contract, with the exception of Chris Paul. We need the bodies, and we'll talk about him in just a moment. I'm glad you brought him up. And we have some depth now, right? We have Nick Allegretti. We have Brandon Coleman. And now we have Andrew Wylie. And we know how important it is with this offensive line, making sure that Jaden Daniels is going to be healthy, making sure we can run the football. Now that we have David Blough as our offensive coordinator, seems like there's an emphasis on the run. We'll talk more about that with Adam Peters and Dan Quinn and the vision of the offense. And then let's see what happens with Chris Paul, who may end up getting a pretty sizable deal, K-Dot. I mean, do you have a number in mind with Chris Paul in terms of how much money you think he's going to get? Because I'm almost wondering if you're underselling how much he's going to actually earn.
I don't care. Sign him.
Sign Chris Paul, and then we would have full continuity.
You saw that I wanted to bring in somebody that's going to cost us a grip to not even start. I don't care. Like the offensive line is the one position group that I felt good about. Like in the sense of overall, like it has 1 or 2 guys over the course of the season like have struggles here and there. Yeah, that's why there's been some shuffling, but majority of the shuffling is all due to injury. And like, you even hear some of the players and stuff talk about like the one of the things they were missing was like continuity with the line going forward or whatever. But if you got guys that have been here that at least know everybody and have played with everybody, then that's just a good thing, especially if you're going to be trying to bring in maybe additional bodies to add to this list. I like the idea of as many guys that have done a decent job for us doing this job to continue doing so. Look, I have not blamed the offensive line, not one bit, as far as Jaden Daniels and his injuries or anything, really. So, like, they've done a pretty good job. Now, I don't know, from a David Blough standpoint, what he wants to do as far as the offensive line, because you might want to go on a more zone run. Like, I don't know exactly what. All I know is that I don't like the Cliff Kingsbury style of running, so maybe they will do something different. And if they do something different, what does that look like? Do they need more athletic guys? Do they need more this, that, and the other? That would be the only thing to be a determining factor on whether or not you would bring in a Chris Paul or you're bringing in Andrew Wylie. Like, are they going to go vastly different? Do they want more athleticism, more of the Coleman type? Like, what are they going to do? But right now, you got a quarterback you need to protect, and you got an offensive line that's done a decent job. Sign the bodies.
Sign the bodies. And if we don't sign Chris Paul, who knows? Maybe Elijah Vera Tucker does wear
both.
burgundy and gold, or both, as K-Dot wants.
I heard Trent Williams is unhappy. Come on back. The more the merrier.
At this position, absolutely sign the bodies. And I think I got your final thoughts on that. So let's go ahead and talk about Adam Peters and Dan Quinn, who spoke to the media again just before the combine in Indianapolis, beginning with Adam Peters. And then it went over to Dan Quinn. Adam Peters, I would say 3 main points. One was Laremy Tunsil. What's going on with that extension, right? Are we going after it? Are we not? Daron Payne, another one. Are we going after an extension there? Are we not? Brandon Aiyuk was brought up. And one little nugget for me, K-Dot, was that he praised David Blough and Daronte Jones for their communication skills and saying what their scheme is going to be and what traits they're looking for. And that, for me, is a callback to his intro press conference with us, Adam Peters, and how important that was for him in both Denver and San Francisco. So that was music to my ears that maybe not everybody thought about because they are listening to the likes of Laremy Tunsil and Daron Payne, those names, and want to know what's going on with those. I was very excited to hear about the traits. I was very excited to hear about that they are good communicators. I know what they want. And so that's going to help inform our off season. So those were my takeaways, K-Dot, the main ones. And then I'll get into Laremy Tunsil and Daron Payne. But what were your overall thoughts on Adam Peters?
Okay, I'll leave Tunsil and Payne alone for now. Overall, I'd probably say if there's a keyword that you can give to either one, and I didn't come up with this, but I forget where it came from. The keyword I'd use to describe Adam Peters and what he's saying is structure. The keyword that I use as far as Dan Quinn and what he's talking about is passion. Like, those two things are the two things that I think are the main tenets of what this offseason is about for these guys, right? So it did seem like Adam Peters, kind of like the one. I always go back to the first person I heard say anything about any of this shit has been you talking about the position coaches not necessarily doing a good enough job translating. I think everybody just talks about the coordinators and not necessarily all the position coaches, things like that. They did a terrible job as far as execution, as far as here's a thing you're supposed to learn and you're supposed to go do this thing, and they weren't doing that thing. So, like, that's a structure issue. That is something that's happening structurally within the organization in which you have guys that are supposed to do certain jobs and they weren't doing the jobs to the best of their abilities. So you got to kind of move on from that. So, like, I think Adam Peters is more about, hey, we got to make sure that we have the bones in the structure of this organization, that everybody's doing exactly what it is they need to be doing to move forward. When you got Dan Quinn, which we'll go to as far as filling in all those other pieces, right? And again, so, like, yeah, those are good things. They're callbacks to what we were most excited about. And I think the more and more you hear from players or from Dan or from Adam, you can see all the ways in which this last season has gone bad and the reasons it went bad, and how do you change those things structurally to not let them happen again.
Right. And so I agree with that. Going to the two guys that have 1 year left on their deal in Laremy Tunsil and Daron Payne, 2 different directions with Adam Peters on those players. So with Laremy Tunsil, he has said that he is speaking to Laremy, he's speaking to his representatives, and that there is an intention to get a long-term deal done. He didn't put a timeline on it. He didn't say, hey, you can't just look at the league year start date and it's going to be done by then. But we are working on it. And that does seem like they've learned from the Terry thing, because I remember when we talked about Terry McLaurin, all of a sudden, after an Eastern Motors commercial shoot, Terry McLaurin's talking about how he's disrespected. This is in like June. Yeah. And then Adam Peters looks stressed as hell when he is asked about Terry McLaurin just a few days later. And he's like, yeah, last time we spoke, and I think he basically alluded to it being like a month prior was the last time they had spoken. Like, this has a very different feel to it. That's Laremy Tunsil. And then Daron Payne. Sounds like they are in agreement to not do a long-term extension right now. So he will play out the final year of his deal. And then if things go well and both parties want to continue being together, they'll work something out either during the season or after. He was saying maybe after the year. K-Dot, your thoughts on those two?
Yeah, the parallels between Tunsil and Terry are pros that have proven something that need new contracts. Other than that, not the same situation at all, right? So, like, position alone makes it not the same thing. So, like, I understood the hesitation as far as the Terry McLaurin piece in the sense of what it is you wanted to wrap him up with as far as from a contractual standpoint. And if you look at some of the outs as far as that contract, I don't think they get to that point unless they have the long-standing bullshit that they had to get to that compromise, right? So Lord knows what would have happened if they had just gone for it. Maybe we're better off, maybe we're not. Regardless, that's kind of what factored into this. For Laremy Tunsil, you're talking about a left tackle position in which these guys can play until they're basically 52. Ain't worried about it. So, like, it's just, what does the compensation look like? You're not worried about, hey, is he going to get... Look, Trent Williams might be available, and he'll still be one of the highest paid left tackles in all of fucking football, regardless of where he goes to. And how old is that fucker, right? So, like, at the end of the day, that position is just... That's why you make the trade for that. Like, you do that, you get Laremy Tunsil in there knowing, hey, I want to set it and forget it. You set it and just forget about it. The compensation works in the sense of what's okay for you, but you're not going through any of the same motions you were doing, like when you're looking at a wide receiver or you're looking at a running back, where you really got to look at that age and, all right, how close are they to 30, this, that, and the other. These left tackles can play all pro levels well into their 30s. You're not worried about it. You just need to make sure the money's right. And then on the other piece, as far as Daron Payne, I think it was Ben Standig, I think, that broke it first a while back. Because I think everybody at some point this season or going into this season thought that this was the last time we were going to see Daron Payne. And then right when the offseason kind of started during playoff time, I think Standig was the one that said that it sounds like they wanted to keep him around. And that's just what it feels like. It's just a foregone conclusion at this point. You hear Adam Peters thought about it. It's like, oh, yeah, we can't wait. We got him under contract. Everybody's on the same page. So unless something happens where Daron Payne just has a change of heart, which I doubt, I think everybody also wants to see Daron Payne play in a contract year because we know you get the best out of him in a contract year, and I think everybody's okay with it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also agree with the decision not to extend Payne just yet. When you have a defense that was as poor as it was last season, you got to evaluate everything, and I think it's totally okay to do this. You drafted... Yeah, it does. It really does. And you also drafted Johnny Newton in the second round. He's a bit smaller, of course, but you did draft the guy in the second round, early second round at that. So you go ahead, you evaluate everybody together. I have no problem with that. And with Laremy Tunsil, I'm glad they're being proactive about it. I do anticipate that a deal gets done. And like you said, these guys play till they're 52. So who cares, right? Like, you keep this player with you as long as possible. And it sounds like something will get done. So from that perspective, I really enjoyed Adam Peters' side of things in this press conference. We'll get to Brandon Aiyuk in just a moment and Marshon Lattimore. Let's skip over to Dan Quinn because he does talk about Daron Payne as well and how excited he is about Daron Payne. And he sort of hints a little bit at what Daronte Jones is probably going to do. For those that don't remember, Daronte Jones in his presser talks about it's not how you line up, it's how you wind up when asked about 3-4 versus 4-3. Right. Well, Dan Quinn, we've talked about it. We would love to play poker with the guy, tends to tell you exactly what he's thinking and sometimes gets a little ahead of himself and reveals information. And in this one, he talks about how Daron Payne could be a great nose tackle. Well, okay, so a nose tackle that's a 3-4. And also he plays end in a 3-4, well, which is a literal 3-4. So it seems like maybe that's where we're leaning, K-Dot, with Daronte Jones. That's just a nice little bit of information I think that we get from Dan Quinn. And he also mentioned how excited he is that all three of these guys are going to play together. The three guys being Javon Kinlaw, Daron Payne, and Johnny Newton. So that's just a little piece of information that lends itself to a 3-4. In my estimation, provides versatility as well. I wanted to know what you made of that and his thoughts on Daron Payne.
I don't care about the 3-4 stuff or 4-3 stuff like at all. The only like, especially on the defensive line aspect of it. Anyway,
I'll explain why I do in a sec, but go ahead.
Okay. We've seen Daron Payne play elephant end in a 3-4 look on this defense before. Like, it's not like they transition between. Look, all the NFL teams at this point, like you have a base as far as the 4-3 or 3-4, 5-2 sometimes. But at the end of the day, shit, most of these guys don't even, a lot of these teams, I mean, shit, our previous administration, as far as on defense, usually had one linebacker out there at any given point in time, right? So, like, it just depends. So, like, it depends on what the rotation is going to look like and trying to find the thing that gels. I would say those three names are the ones that excite me the most as far as someone that, like, is supposed to be, like, the run stuffing big motherfuckers that, like, do whatever. Johnny Newton, a little, you want him to get better in that, but to have him on the field where those other guys do at least gives you something, right? But I think the 3-4-4-3 stuff that matters to me is what's happening at linebacker.
Correct.
That's the thing that like matters the absolute most. And like, so when I hear people saying that sort of stuff, then I'm like, okay, what are you guys doing from a pass rush standpoint? Because you think you got to go back to the drawing board just a little bit compared to the guys that we have right now on roster. If you're going to be running the 3-4 compared to 4-3, some of these guys I don't want standing or potentially going into coverage at any given point in time. Like I don't want that. So like, what are you going to do? Where do you feel as far as Dorrance Armstrong and where it is that he's going to line up if he's going to be a guy that we can continue to keep like that? Those sort of things I think are good questions. Or like, I look at the linebacker group that we have right now. I think it excites me more the idea of Frankie Louvu back in a 4-3 than he does in a 3-4 as far as what he could potentially do at linebacker, right? Unless you're talking about a situation where we'll talk about Bobby Wagner, where I think you're going to have him play inside compared to only outside. I think people are like, we've seen enough as far as the pass rush, solely Frankie Louvu, right? But then you look at guys like Kane Madrano, Alikeo. I don't like their size at all as far as I'm outside from a 3-4 standpoint. So I think that like it's the 3-4-4-3 stuff. I just don't really care. I just care about how it is that they're going to use these guys from a versatility standpoint on the defensive line. And I think you shouldn't pigeonhole yourself in the 3-4-4-3 when it comes to the defensive line itself. The linebackers is where it gets interesting to me.
And I gotta add the caveat that who knows? I mean, maybe Dan and Daronte have just briefly been speaking about a 3-4 recently, and so Dan answers the question from the 3-4 perspective. For example,
I'm sure he's got packages that look like that are 3-4 that are supposed to have.
Certainly, I anticipate we'll use both. Right?
Yeah,
we'll use 4-3 and 3-4.
I could put Kinlaw in the middle of that motherfucker and be all right with that.
Certainly, certainly. And so I'm excited to see what it looks like. I do anticipate. I think it was maybe a bit of confirmation bias in that I am thinking 3-4 a little bit, just in terms of when I hear versatility, right? I do think that having more on the back end, so the linebackers rather than on the defensive line, I think that does provide that versatility. And so that's something I was thinking about, but it's to each their own with that. Marshon Lattimore.
Go ahead. Quick. I think the reason I'm probably like, if you put a gun in my head, I'm 4-3 over 3-4 is that I feel better about our defensive line than I do about our linebackers at this particular point in time. And if that's going to be the case, then I want more of the defensive line on the field. I want as far as linebackers on the field.
This could be a pro Sonny Styles thing.
No, but if you're gonna retool the entire linebacker core, if like you get your wish and Quay Walker's here, or maybe they go and get some of these other guys, so like that would change everything as far as like what's happening. But like right now, stock in what we have currently on the roster. Sign me up for 4-3 over a 3-4, but versatility means you should be doing both.
Correct. Yeah. And so I think that, again, with this presser happening before free agency, before the draft,
that's a lot.
Does it tell us a little bit about the direction we're going? And also talk about what Adam Peters is saying about the communication of knowing what he wants, like from, Daronte, from David. Okay. Cool. Maybe we are moving in that direction is the thought. Wanted to touch on Marshon Lattimore, who Adam Peters also spoke about. And he said, nothing's been decided yet. We're going over information and we'll see what we do. And looking at Twitter, I think people were sort of freaking out. They're like, what do you mean? We could keep him? Like, what are you talking about? I think Adam said exactly what he needed to say. The guy's still on the roster right now. I don't think that was a big deal at all. I anticipate him being released. And if for whatever reason he isn't, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But you're going to end up saving $18.5 million in cap space. Or if there's an injury settlement, I don't know, 12 or 15. It's not an insignificant amount. So I anticipate that happening, or a restructure of the deal or something along those lines. But I wouldn't freak out about the Marshon Lattimore thing. I don't know how you feel about it, K-Dot.
I'm not freaking out on any of it. Like, they could bring him back. I'm not freaking out. Like, I was just like, it's not something that I think is worthy of getting that point. Look, you look at the end of 2024, he did nothing to blow anybody's socks off, right? You look at this particular year, outside of Trey Amos, I got smoke for everybody in the secondary, right? So it's not like Marshon stands necessarily apart as much as because of who he was lined up against, he probably got targeted more. And then because he got targeted more, it just looked worse. But trust me, anybody else could be exactly where he was, and they got burnt all fucking season long. So, like, at the end of the day, like, I don't believe in chasing this one in the sense of trying to make the trade work in the sense that he's got to work out for us. It's just looking at the cost. Like, if the saving of the money will allow us to be more aggressive in free agency, and we want to be more aggressive in free agency, then yeah, get rid of him. Like, but if we're looking at it and you look over the landscape, and it's like, well, you know, there's not really anything we would do with the money anyway. Might as well bring him back to see whether or not we can get to that point. Then I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. Like, I just don't think that it's something to be freaked out about. Marshon Lattimore being there does not mean the defense is going to suck automatically, right? And I think that everybody's of the hope that, like, if he can get back to where he was, even a modicum of where he was, with better coaching as far as in the secondary, then, like, maybe that is something you want. You'd rather have a good cornerback than not having one, right?
Yeah, and I want to say that just before he got hurt, a week or maybe 2 weeks prior, he had
all 22 player of the
all 22 player of the game. Had a nice pick against Mahomes in Kansas City. Like, it looked like he was finally maybe getting back to the Marshon Lattimore we were hoping to get, and then he gets hurt. So there is stuff still to be decided. Like you said, this is a cost question and thought, right? Because I think if Mikey Sanders still is getting burned the way he is, but he's not on the second year of his rookie deal, entering his third, and he's at an $18.5 million cap hit, we would be asking the same thing about him, right? So it has everything to do with the cost, not necessarily the player himself. And then finally, Brandon Aiyuk. Someone had asked about Brandon Aiyuk. I can't recall who, sorry. But Adam Peters goes, hey, I cannot comment on, the player because he's under contract with another team, but I can say that I do really like Brandon Aiyuk, the person, and he is a great guy. And, he talked about second chances as well. I believe everybody deserves second chances. So he certainly kept that door wide open. K-Dot, you mentioned Brandon Aiyuk as somebody you would look to bring in your top three last episode. One more time, your thoughts on Brandon Aiyuk, because we also had the conversation of, if you could run it back with the wide receiver core from last year or add Brandon Aiyuk to it and maybe subtract Debo. I can't remember if that was part of it, but you would run it back with our wide receivers. I don't remember the exact wording, but maybe you do.
I like our wide receiver room. So, like, that's the offense I don't feel necessarily bad about, as much as I feel like as long as Jaden's progressing and if they address the running back position as a whole. I don't want to go in an extra with Bill and Rodriguez under a new run scheme. I need another piece. Just another piece to make me feel a little better about that. Whether that be Rashad White or somebody else. Whatever. But the wide receivers, the only thing that really bothered me as far as the wide receivers were the injuries that happened over the course of the season, Terry not getting in, gelling with everything, right? So, like, there was too many injuries and things that were happening where you had Debo Samuel playing out of place. He having to take Terry McLaurin's spot, basically, to be the number one wide receiver for a while, in which I think he did an admirable job of, compared to what it is we probably expected from, or what I may have expected from him. So I think Debo still got a lot left in the tank, in my opinion. So, like, I have no problem running it back with him with a Terry McLaurin healthy throughout the season. And you got a Luke McCaffrey, you got a Jalen Lane, maybe Traylon Burks is a guy you bring back. I mean, I'd be really excited to bring him back. Now, I'm cool with that. Brandon Aiyuk, as far as from a personal standpoint, do I necessarily want him in the building? No, I don't love whatever it is that's happening in San Francisco. That's just entirely too much mess for me. But if you're not going to bring back Debo Samuel, then I think you need to add a piece to the wide receiver room. If you're adding a piece to the wide receiver room, I look across the landscape. I'm not as high on Alec Pierce as some other people, and from what it looks like, he ain't fucking going anywhere. And if
they love him in India, it looks like, yeah.
And if I'm looking through everything else, the one that I think is like, all right, well, you know what? If this doesn't cost us a lot, which because he's pretty much tanked his value, it won't. And if this is one of those like swing big things, it's just making sure that everybody that's aware of it is like, hey, if this goes bad, or this goes left at any given point in time, that motherfucker's gone. So, like, but once again, that's a bit of a mess when it comes to the Jaden piece and what he might feel and not feel. But, like, it's time to grow up regardless. Like, I'm not necessarily about placating Jaden, but I do think this is one of those things where, like, if it doesn't cost you a lot and you need another talent in the wide receiver room, you look across the landscape, he's the only one that's flashed special at all at any given point in time, and maybe Jaden gets the absolute best of him. It's worth a swing if it's not going to cost you.
I think when looking at his talent and looking at his current value or anticipated projected current value, it looks like high reward, low cost.
Mhm.
I question the cost being low because they are so close, right? That if things ended up going sour with Aiyuk, I don't know what that does to Jaden. I don't know like what type of thing would have to occur that things suddenly get sour between the org and Jaden. This is me just being like hypersensitive to it. I recognize that. Like they're professionals at the end of the day. And having Brandon Aiyuk over here, right, with chemistry that he has with Jaden Daniels, how close they are, like that should be a good thing on the field. But it is, I tread cautiously and tread lightly over here when it comes to Brandon Aiyuk, K-Dot.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Unless there's something egregious that would happen in the sense like Ayuk's on pace for 20 touchdowns and 2,000 yards, we're winning games and they get rid of him. Like unless that's the situation. Beyond
no.
that,
I'm not thinking about that at all.
I'm just saying.
But
I'm giving an extreme example to make the
Sure.
point, which is the point would be is like, get the fuck over it. If Jaden is in a situation where they have to get rid of his friend and he's pissing fit, if he's becoming a diva about it, I jettison his ass too. Like that's what it boils down now for me. And like that would speak to a character flaw in the sense of if shit were to go bad, because I would think that like it would be pretty noticeable if shit were to go bad with Aiyuk compared to like what you're seeing in San Francisco. I don't think it goes quietly. Okay, I think this is much closer to T.O. doing push-ups in the driveway than it does to, hey, we're not entirely sure what happened. Like I don't see that being the case. So like, and if that is the case, right? Once again, if you're gonna choose your guy over what it is probably the best direction of the team, then it's like maybe you weren't the guy anyway. And I think that's the thing that people got to understand is like I still have faith in Jay. I don't think they'll ever come to that. But I think people will have these scenarios in which like, all right, well, if that's the case, then I don't think Jaden's the guy. So like the same thing we talk about, like the injury thing. It's like, yeah, if you don't trust him to stay healthy, then he's not the guy. Like that's what you got to come to terms with.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. And also, I mean, here's the upside with Brandon Aiyuk as well, right? Like it's got to be noted he had a very, very bad injury, right?
Yeah.
And like he did his own rehab. The Niners wanted him to check in at the facility. He wasn't doing that. Then they were like, we're going to take your money. That he does check in. You got the red shorts situation. There's a whole lot of stuff. But, right, the way Terry McLaurin's contract is currently done, this will be his last year with the team, barring a reconstruction, barring a new deal, which we'll see about that. That's truly 50-50. And if it's not 50-50, it's not in favor of Terry, right? It would be the other way. So
Terry, this is not Terry's last year with the team. That's my prediction.
I hope you're right, because I remember when we were in the heat of the discussion, we were like, oh, no, he's gone after this contract. But I would like him to stay, but I don't know, right? Because I don't know how much money he's going to want. And I don't know how much he's going to be willing to restructure. So that is going to be something that needs to be discussed, because his cap hit next year, we can get into it another time, but his cap hit next year is insane.
No,
and
100%.
you save like 24 to 28 million by releasing him, and his cap number is like 34, 35, something like that.
I don't see anyone, even with Aiyuk, coming close to showing what it is that Terry can show on the football field. And I think that scares the team. I just think that scares the team. If they like if Debo's back and they're like slam dunk Debo, then I'm like, bye Terry. And I really did think that was probably going to be the case. But like it's right now, I can't fathom a scenario in which Aiyuk comes in and just ends up being top dog and Terry's relegated to like bitch. And it's like, oh, well, we can get rid of this guy. I just don't see it.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I do think, and this is where Adam Peters, being a first time like GM, not assistant GM, stuff like that, probably got burned a little bit. When he traded for Debo, he was like, oh, perfect. I got two guys on a 1-year deal, basically, during the final years of their deal. I'll pick the better one. Like it'll just work that way. And I don't think he fully understood Terry McLaurin's value over here.
I don't know about that. I'd say this. I'd say that, you know, it involves me asking a question I say I don't want to ask anymore, so I'll just leave it alone.
Okay.
Cliff Kingsbury, motherfucker.
Anyway, so that's something over there. But what I was going to say, all the way back to Brandon Aiyuk now, is that if he is like himself or close to like himself, this does allow you to off-ramp Terry and have a talented wide receiver that can be a wide receiver one for a year or two.
If you want to tie yourself to Aiyuk.
You can. You can. No, I mean, honestly, like, if he has the
pray for Burks or Lane or Luke to break out. That's what everybody's hope should be going this season.
We need that. We need that anyway, because we are spending third and fourth round picks on wide receivers, and we're still unsure, right? So it makes 100%. Us think that free agency makes more sense 100%. To do this, right?
100%.
Like, so we'll.
That's the thing. Happens. That to me is like this season, regardless of the going forward, it's those three men. It's like, and I put Burks in that conversation. I saw enough. I enough that I was like,
I like Treylon Burks.
Yeah,
we're a Treylon Burks show.
Yeah. So, but it's Luke and it's Jalen, and I saw a lot. I mean, just stop laying with the punt return. I mean, just catch the goddamn ball. Like you're a talent if you catch the goddamn ball and stick with it. I got a lot of it. Like I know I'm higher on Luke than probably most, and that goes back to 2024 and what I saw when watching the tape. And I actually think Blough is gonna like unlock something with that. But look, if one of those guys really just balls out, then you're like, all right, well, we could take some chances with some shit. But what you don't want to do is have a talent like Jaden Daniels throwing to nobodies. That's correct. Which is sort of what we got to in parts last season when Terry was hurt. Shit, going back, right. Yeah, exactly. Outside of Terry McLaurin, it's been a bunch of nobodies.
Right. Any final thoughts over here before we move over to Zach Ertz and Bobby Wagner?
Nope. Oh, well, I would say the DQ overall, the passion thing. I don't know if you got to saw Mark Bullock and I think Standig both did. Everybody's got a Substack now. Which is like,
yes,
paying a lot. Although if anybody wants a free or a gift, Ben Standig, basically he gave. I guess I got a few I can hand out some. So just drop something in the comments. Maybe I'll do it. The talking to the players about how this season went, and that to me was interesting as shit. When they're like everybody's saying the same thing: injuries. And they moved to something else. Just make sure everybody knows it was the injuries, the biggest thing last year. But the other thing is, like everybody says, that the passion, that the complementary aspect of it, the defense rooting for the offense rooting for the defense, everybody like feeling it. It was gone. They said from training camp, it wasn't there. And they don't. It's like it's one of these seasons where you just. It's one of these seasons where you just kind of forget it. You flush this one. You flush this one. They think that they can get it back. And I got faith that these guys can get it back. And I think Dan Quinn also has faith that these guys can get that back.
Yeah. Also, just a quick aside, I got to give it to Ben Standig. Like he had an outstanding season last season. Yeah. And I know that there was a little bit of awkwardness because he got released from The Athletic. Then Nikki Javala takes over at The Athletic and Ben Standig starts freelancing, but is still with the team. Mm-hmm. He tore it up last season. Like he 100%. Crushed and he was ahead of the Cliff Kingsbury thing like nobody's business. Like he brought it up and people were like, wait, what? And like you wait a couple weeks, let it marinate. He was right. Like he has been cooking. So that's just free promo
John
for the
Kime, watch out. We didn't have a good week.
We took it off the rundown, by the way, but we can't talk.
He's still the guy. But it's like if like ESPN look standing and be like, boy, look good. John Kime gonna keep pissing off the QB's mom.
I know, and I was just like, please, man, like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? Don't stress me out right now. For those that don't know, which I'm sure you guys, if you're watching us, you're avid followers of the team. John Kime had Jaden's quarterback coach, and for those listening to just audio, those were air quotes there. Ryan Porter on to discuss Jaden and what he wants to see out of Jaden this coming season, this coming off season, etc. And he gave his thoughts, and Jaden's mom quote tweeted Kime's plug for his own pod with a clip of Ryan Porter saying, hey, this is not Jaden's quarterback coach, hasn't been for a while. Please stop giving this man a platform to speak, which is a next level to it. He could have easily just been like, hey, this is not his quarterback coach, left it there. It was also, please don't give this man a platform to speak, which is a little next level. But Kime doubled down in a reply, not to her directly, but to somebody else, saying Ryan Porter has good insight. He has worked with Jaden in the past. Right.
Went as far as to say that Jaden still calls Ryan before and after games for like motivation, and he's like a morale coach to a certain degree. Here's what I'll say as far as all this stuff goes. On a personal human level, I will never come after a black mom, a black parent protecting or doing what it is they think they need to do to protect their kid. Look, you're talking to a guy that defends the Ball brothers and their father the entire time, and he was right.
Motherfucker was right. No, actually, I'm on that side too.
Right
there. Yeah.
I will say, as a Commanders fan, as someone who has seen dysfunction with the franchise going forward, I hate all this. I hate all of it. I don't like his mom tweeting. I don't like any of it. I know nobody wants to say that shit, and like, I don't even want to say that shit. But if I'm just being honest with what I like or don't like, I don't like this. And like to me, I read through this and I'm seeing like you infer all this shit because I know too much now. Like I know enough to now make guesses, but not enough to like for anybody to clear anything up really. Like what it sounds like to me is this guy and Jaden's mom vying for the boys' attention after games or what have you. Maybe there's a rift in what it is that's happening. I don't know, but I don't want to know any of this shit. And at the end of the day, there was nothing. There was nothing that Ryan said, even in that interview to me, that painted Jaden some light that wasn't okay. It's like this just felt like a defense that didn't need to happen. Like, let it rock, man. Just let the shit rock.
Yeah, this rubbed me the wrong way because I understood Miss Jackson, right? Regina Jackson. Like, that's Jaden's mom. I understood where she was coming from, right? Like, just being Jaden's mom, like, saying, hey, like, this is not who he works with. It even dropped the name of the person he does work with, Taylor Kelly, right? So it wasn't just like, hey, this isn't who it is. That's it. Your guess is as good as mine as to who the quarterback coaches. Go do your research. Here's the name. Talk to this person. You could talk to this person. So that's good. She's also his agent.
Yeah.
And that's where this gets
messy,
dicey, in my opinion, because we also have the can't wait for Jaden and Cliff Kingsbury year 3. And then Cliff's gone. So this isn't just a one-time thing. And so that just gets me really worried. You talk about the PTSD, right? We've had this stuff in the past. Like, it just doesn't feel good. Hopefully this is just a minor blip, but it
doesn't feel good because there's never usually a scenario in which it works out. Anytime you have the parents start saying anything, it never really works out for anybody. Or no, you know, as I say, it doesn't usually work out from a team standpoint. It might work out for the individual player overall, long term, as far as their career. Might do that. But remember, I'm a Commanders fan more than I'm a Jaden Daniels fan. Like, Jaden could leave tomorrow. I'm still going to root for the burgundy and gold, right? So, like, at the end of the day, if I'm looking at what's best for the team, I just, this is not great. This is like when you hear RG3's parents involved in something, you're like, oh, man, what the fuck? Like, you just don't want this shit. It's never a good thing. It's just mess. It's a mess. You don't want to hear any of this shit, ever. And what I appreciate is that Jaden keeps his fucking mouth shut. Jaden causes no waves at all. Like, he's great at that.
Jaden's been fantastic. Yeah, he's been fantastic. And so, like you said, we just don't want these waves. And so hopefully... But she might be
being a good mom.
Yes, yeah. But also is the agent, right? So, like, wearing both hats is tricky. It just is, right?
I think she's crushing it.
Thing, I think she's doing a good job, but I also think that we have 2 instances in the last couple months that have rubbed people the wrong way. It's not to say that she's doing it wrong, but it's just like for it to be on a public platform, right, is the frustration. I wish this could be taken care of behind the scenes. That's all. Do your thing. Just like, does it have to be on Twitter?
I think we all want to see a situation in which both things can occur and we feel as though we're all moving towards the same thing in the right direction. Right now, it doesn't feel that way. Right now, it feels like there's a little bit of friction on something. And this is not, but I don't know if you're like if I know half the audience, I don't know what the demographical breakdown is, but if you're black and you listen to black podcasts and you're on black Twitter, Jaden's mom's been a topic of conversation for quite some time now. As far as like everything that's been happening behind the scenes and stuff. And you know, like you don't want those conversations happening around your team, regardless of whether or not she's being a great mom or not. You just don't want them if you're a fan of this team. Like, it's a selfish thing, and it might not be in anybody's best benefit except my own. But like at the end of the day, she has been a major topic of conversation. Well, Joe Budden podcast, fucking Jeff Teague's talked about her. Oh God.
Yeah, she's been a great mom. Right, like that. She clearly loves her son. Very I don't mind any of that. In fact, I really like seeing it. Right, but again, as the agent, remember when I think it was Jaden's initial agent or something along those lines, liked the tweet when it came down to Topgolf and how much we dissected that and talked about that and stuff like that. Wow. When you're in the public eye as an agent, it's typically not good. That's the only thing. If this was just Jaden's mom, that's one thing. But if it's the agent as well, that's where I'm like, okay, no, this is a bit more bothersome.
I don't think it's universal, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and talk about Bobby Wagner, Zach Ertz, who they have both announced that they are returning to not the team, but they're returning to play in the NFL this coming season. Zach Ertz has already dropped a couple videos on him working out. He seems to be of the mindset that he's going to be ready week 1. I can't remember if Ian Rappaport also said he plans to be ready week 1. And Bobby Wagner, 5th in the NFL in tackles, 4.5 sacks last season as well, in a season where everybody said he doesn't have it. Plays 100% of snaps, basically. Dude's got it, right? Walter Payton Man of the Year as well, which Dan Quinn was very, very proud of when he was talking about Bobby Wagner after the media presser. He ends up answering some Q&As individually as well. The question here is simple. Would you take both of these guys back? Would you take just one of them back? And if so, who? And would you take neither back? Go ahead, K-Dot.
I could go with any of the above. I'm cool with it. Like, at the end of the day, it just comes with caveats, I guess. So, like, Bobby Wagner, I'm completely okay with plugging him in as long as you got the other talent kind of working around him or trying to boost him. Like, you need the talent around him at linebacker to be a bit better than it was last season. If that's going to be the case, you're going to commit to that, whether through the draft or anything, play time, whatever, then I'm all for it. I still think he can play his ass off, and if he doesn't end up here, please, Bobby, go to a Super Bowl contender because you're going to hold a Lombardi trophy. As a matter of fact, I actually think you know where I want to see him if he's not here.
Go back to the LA Rams.
I think back at Seattle. I think you put Bobby back at Seattle with a mind like Mike McDonald, they might go back to back. So like beyond that, Zach Ertz, similar but not the same. Like in the sense of, I think he's a great mind. I think he could damn near a coach. I think he could be in there and help with a lot. But I don't want any other circumstances. It's him standing in the way of other guys that are younger getting snaps that I think could do things. So, like, that's it. So if he's going to come back, cool. I don't want him number 1 on the depth chart, and I don't want to see him with more targets than John Bates or Ben Sinnott going into next season if they don't address tight end in another way.
Yeah, frankly, that's how I feel about both these guys. That I'm happy to have them back, but I can't have them, and this includes Bobby, be number 1 on the depth chart. In the case of Bobby, it's maybe a bit different. Like he can be, he can,
that'd be disrespectful.
But you know what? That's fair. So I'll walk it back a little bit. But I don't want to see him playing 100% of the snaps like he did this last season. How about that? Right.
Yeah,
so like I want to see a bit more rotation. I want to see a bit more Jordan McGee. I really want us to sign Quay Walker. If we ended up, breaking the bank on Devin Lloyd, okay. You got Sonny Styles, okay. Right? Like these are players that need to play. And Bobby Wagner, I think in rotation, he could also be more rested as well, which could help him. And you can put him in more obvious situations that benefit Bobby Wagner. Like I think that that's the way you approach that, which would mean a little less money. And if he is interested in signing the max deal for him across the NFL, I don't want it to be here if it's that 1 year, 10 million again, right? Like I would rather it be 1 year, 7 or something like that. And he is in rotation, something along those lines. That's what I would do. With Zach Ertz, I would actually err on not bringing him back because I think he's just got too much chemistry with Jaden. Right, where there would be situations where they would go, okay, no, Zach had it last year. Like, we're just going to go ahead and put him in on this play. And I just don't know that that's a good idea. I think it is. Hopefully, we don't know, right? Like, hopefully it is. Ben Sinnott, based on what we're hearing about David Blough's offense, sounds like he is a good fit for it.
Yeah.
So I would roll with him. And then if you want another pass catching tight end, how about it be someone younger that can get more yards after the catch, right? Like I like Isaiah Likely. Chigakonkwo is another nice name, right? Like there are some names out there that you can go after that are faster after the catch that have not played with good quarterbacks. So sorry, Isaiah Likely has, but he's been behind Mark Andrews. But Chigakonkwo, it's hard to say with Cam Ward, right? It's hard to say with Tennessee up until this point, right? Like those are players. That's why I liked Alec Pierce also, who's been throwing him the ball. Like those are the types of players that I like. Yeah, well, go ahead.
The reason I laughed was Anthony Richardson just requested a trade.
Okay. Someone's going to swap 7th rounders and take Anthony Richardson. Sounds good.
I guess so. So I was like,
really? What's crazy is someone's going to give up a nice pick for him.
This feels
They'll
like
see the talent. It's just how it works.
The Raiders. I like it, actually.
It'd be fun, huh?
Oh man, that he's a freak athlete. Him passing to those other freaks they got on that offense. I mean, yeah, you throw him in some packages. That's what I'm saying. It's like if you get an interesting enough mind, that's my thing. Is like as much as I fucking can't stand Sean Payton because I just think he's a prick, I give him credit for thinking outside the box. Like this is the Taysom Hill thing. Like Anthony Rizzo could be a dog if you just think outside the box.
Do you think Minnesota entertains it? A little open competition between your boy JJ.
Fuck off.
Richardson.
God damn it. You know what? Kind of makes sense though.
Doesn't it? Doesn't it? Any final thoughts here on Ertz and Wagner?
Nah.
All right, cool. And on to the NFL Combine, where a lot of these guys spoke to the media. Some of them were asked about the Commanders specifically. You're good. And as you can see, some pretty awesome players on this graphic over here. Man, oh man. And with pick 7, there is Ruben Bain, there is David Bailey, there is Caleb Downs, there is Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, there is Jeremiah Love. Right. And these wide receivers, too, again, depending on what we think is going to happen with Terry McLaurin, you can entertain some of them. Jordan Tyson, Mekhi Lemon, Omar Cooper seems to be flying up boards right now. I don't know about pick 7, but he seems to be flying up boards. A lot of talent over there. K-Dot going into the Combine. Now, by the time this episode drops, the defensive linemen and linebackers, I believe, would have already worked out yesterday. Yeah. And then the secondary members, and I think some more linebacker. And tight ends. Sorry, secondary and tight ends will be working out today. Tomorrow will be the wide receivers, the running backs. So if you want to see some of those wide receivers we mentioned, you want to see Jeremiah Love, although I don't know if he's working out. He has no incentive to, but he might. You can see them there. K-Dot, heading into the Combine, is Sonny Styles still your favorite? What do you think of some of these other guys? Floor is yours.
Sonny Styles is still my favorite because I don't know if you remember this, but every year right around this time, I ignore the Combine. So, like, at the end of the day,
I remember your take on it. Yeah.
Makes me uncomfortable. And then beyond that, to me, I always think the Combine itself is so much of PR and agent work than it is maybe any other thing. And it's also teams bullshitting you people into thinking that they're interested in certain guys. And to me, it's just a mess. Like, to me, the cleanest thing to do around the Combine is to ignore everything and just go watch college tape. So yeah, Sonny Styles by default is still number 1 because I haven't let myself take any of the other content in, so it's still the same. Like, I'm still right there, which is like, if you were to ask me, do I think Caleb Downs is a better player than Sonny Styles? Yeah. Do I like Sonny Styles just personally? Yeah. And I don't want anything to influence that until I have like raw stats, and now like afterwards when I can dissect everything, when everybody's done their interviews and I can watch everybody back to back to back, so I'm not really falling in love with one guy compared to another guy. I just think that's what keeps you the most honest. I hate Combine time. I fucking hate Combine time.
By the way, what you said, first off, your Combine take is a good one and continues to be a strong one in terms of what it represents. You're fair. When
and the more I'm learning about it, dog, they're letting more the players, because the players are talking more about it. They're like, yeah, everybody's in a room, like the cameras ain't there, everybody's just in their underwear. I'm like, we kind of looking at each other, and I'm like, what is happening? Then you get fucking Jerry Jones. What's his dick look like? You're like, what? Like, what has happened?
And you got the white dudes being like, we're finally involved. No. And so the what I'm saying,
I could be a Mandingo too.
I'm in. No, listen. So you bring up a really, really good point. Bringing it back to a serious tone. Nick Caserio, GM for the Houston Texans, talked about Kamari Lassiter. For those that don't know, he drafted Kamari Lassiter, who ran a 4.65, I believe, at the Combine. And he goes, do you see a 4.65 player when he plays on Sundays? No, because his college tape shows he's an absolute dog and he's a ball player. So the tape tells me what kind of player he is. And a 4.65 just gave me value because other people are knocking him down boards stupidly. So if you want to be like Nick Caserio, hope your favorite player actually underperforms at the Combine, and you might be able to get him a little later.
That's it.
Right? So that's actually is what you should be looking for.
That's it.
Right? So something to note. So it's an excellent point, Kate. I know you said it, and you said it, honestly, properly, but just to hammer home the point, it's like, hey, by the way, that's a very real thing. Like, don't look at the combine too much.
Basically, the only thing the combine is lying season. It's the start of lying season. So like at the end of the day, to me, it's like the only thing you can really get. The only person that benefits as far as from a combine is a player that can wow people as far as from a stat standpoint and what they do with the combines. And for the most part, the way I usually look at that is that they tricked people into being able to put them a better draft position. It's not necessarily indicative of how they play. I look at the fastest I've ever seen a player, like in my opinion, just when I think about it, Larry Fitzgerald in that Super Bowl, when he took that ball and fucking just took off, and I was like looking at it, I was like, he wasn't the fastest guy by far. I don't give a fuck about the combine unless you like. Every once in a while, somebody come out there and you're like, oh damn, that was a fucking freak, right? Like Saquon, where it's like everything just kind of pointed around, but his tape showed it already. Well, look, if you want to talk about like the guys who probably showed the most out as far as the combines, Washington already has them. Brandon Coleman, Samish Reyes, how that shit work out? So, like, I don't give a fuck. Sports. Right? Yeah. I don't care. It's just about lying. Like, and if I got to see Rich Eisen's ghost run against another player again, it was cool 15 motherfucking years ago. Now, just stop.
He runs it every year.
I fucking hate the combine, dog.
The one other thing the combine does bring are trades. And so that's something to note because all the GMs are over there and it's very easy for them to just walk over and talk to each other about stuff. So this is around the time that you begin seeing NFL trades. So just keep an eye out for those as well. You can get excited about those because those happen every single year. And so just something of note. Any final thoughts, Kate, up before we move to the comment mailbag and respect to your hard stop?
I'll play the comment mailbag thing as soon as I say this, just to get us. I am convinced, and I think you'd probably agree. I think of anybody, Coach Lombard has the best time around combine time.
And now the
Coming mailbag time, you motherfuckers. District divided, beat the brakes off of suckers, pull up and fall in. Spread the word and get your ass in line. OGs and new blood, it's your goddamn time. This is the gospel, ho, and we spit it like scripture. Burgundy and gold got the whole damn picture. Yeah, cancel that wish. And if you still with ice, we know your mama is a bitch. K-Dot in the myth, we don't miss, we deliver glorious audio art out your motherfucking speakers. District divided, welcome to church. Coming mailbag time now, who's up first?
Well, that was awesome.
Yeah, but it bleeped the Nikki diss, which I was like, it mumbles through the Nikki diss. I'm fucking upset about that.
Well, it's out of fire.
He ain't trying to talk about black queens that way. I get it, but she ain't from here.
And so with that, we go to the comment mailbag, and we greatly appreciate that intro.
It was like 3 times as long, and I still ain't clicked the goddamn.
Yeah, I know. I was like, man, you almost nailed it. You almost nailed it. We have, I believe, 13 comments total over here. Solid. So uncheck the unresponded thing. And so let's go ahead and begin with Martin Collins, who goes, "Happy birthday, Big K Dot."
Oh, I forgot about that. Thanks, man.
That's one. And then we got Vindo going, "Happy birthday, K Dot. Y'all know ball."
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Thank you. I think we do.
That's another one. And Coach Lombard goes, "Happy birthday, K Dot. If you had to choose between the better player and the better scheme fit for 2026, whom would you pick?"
I just realized my joke about Coach could come across as like homophobic. That's not what I meant. I meant that he likes Graydon Blacks.
I knew
I'm sorry.
Mean it.
It's more of a racial thing. And it's the Philadelphia part of it, Coach. What was the question? I like schemes and players. I like both those things.
You can't do that. The least you can do after all that is answer the fucking question.
I'm sorry, I honestly missed the question.
Here's the question. If you had to choose between the better player, so talent, and the better scheme fit for 2026, whom would you pick?
Oh, I mean, scheme matters. This particular team it's bereft of special talent except for Jaden Daniels makes me say I just need special players here, right? Like I really, really find that a premium. But if you know the way that I like, in the sense of the way I like to build the team, and looking at what Seattle does, I will choose scheme if it's a good fucking scheme and if it's an adaptable scheme to like try to fill out as far as the players. But I need talent probably more than anything else right now. So while I would usually philosophically say I want the scheme, if we're talking about this particular point right now, today, I need special players.
Yeah, you need talent on this team. Hard stop. And
Build
so
this
if
team
it
around
lines
talent.
up, if it lines up with the fit, even better. If it lines up with the scheme fit, even better. But yeah, you need talent. You certainly know that, coach, because we talk about the blue chippers, we talk about the talent on the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
Like we need to be able to keep up with that.
How you
So,
find the blue chippers?
here is Martin Collins, who goes, bring back B-Wags. Okay, so that's a vote in favor of Bobby Wagner coming back. And I do think a lot of Commanders fans, now that they've had a little bit of time in the offseason, would be excited to have Bobby Wagner back, though I have seen a few that would not be. But K-Dot, overall, you'd take him back, yeah?
Yeah, I think Twitter is a cesspool full of stupidity. And then every once in a while, after a season, people can calm the fuck down and then look at PFF scores and things. You're like, oh, well, I guess it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. Like, that's what ends up fucking happening. So, like, yeah, bring Bobby back. But look, the way I put it, when we were talking about Bobby last segment, 2 segments ago, whatever, I think my point, I don't see anybody better than him. Now, whether you want to develop somebody to be as good as him one day, I doubt it. But, like, I still don't think there's anyone as good as him available, period. And that's me going and looking even at free agency. Would I say that Quay Walker today is better than Bobby Wagner? No. Do I think he may be more athletic? Yeah. Can he bring certain things that Bobby can't? Yeah. Is he a better player? No, he's not. So, like, that's my thing is, like, I look at Bobby Wagner as far as, like, he's still a top 5 linebacker, in my opinion, in the NFL, and it's hard to come by. And once again, I'm of the idea that this team's actually going to go on a run, and I think Bobby could be a very integral part of that.
Oh, certainly. And so I would take Bobby Wagner back, right? So my answer to that question, just to make it very clear, is the answer is I would take one back and I would take Bobby Wagner back. That's who I would take back. He still, like, his IQ is still obviously there. His leadership is still obviously there. And he was 5th in the NFL in tackles. So it's not just like IQ leadership and, like, you know, he's got a cane out there. Like, he's still making plays, right? And I think if you put another really good linebacker right next to him, it can look even better, right? So, like, that's, I would bring him back for sure. With a younger, more athletic guy. And I think now we're really cooking. And that's where you get into coaching. That's where you get into the Adam Peters talking about the traits that Daronte Jones has already mentioned he wants. Like, that's where I get excited about it. So we'll see what happens over there. Martin Collins also goes, we need Brandon Aiyuk. Face it. What, do we want Tyreek Hill? That ain't going to happen. Tyreek Hill did get cut by the Miami Dolphins.
Did he?
K-Dot, your reaction. Yes, he did.
Fuck, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he did.
Kind of changes some things.
Well, go ahead. What's your instant reaction to that now that I'm breaking some news to you?
Nah, he's probably gonna be expensive as shit. I think you get a value. I don't think Hill comes with value. But if Hill wants to come for
Off a
cheap,
torn ACL, age 30.
none of those things are great. But I mean, at the end of the day, like,
Right.
and we're talking about like the off the field shit. Same with some of the other things, is not great. So but yeah, would I be okay with either one of those guys in the room? Yeah, I'm not gonna say need though. I would really like it. I'd really like it.
Yeah, here's King Showtime going. Michael Pittman in Indy is getting cut. Pierce will get that money in Indy, which it does look like. And again, Alec Pierce, 25 years old, 6'3", 250, like, and he's had multi-touchdown games with Phil Rivers, Riley Leonard, Daniel Jones. So, like, he's able to do it with, or he was able to do it with anybody this past season. I think putting him with Jaden Daniels would make his numbers even better. What did he average? It was over 20 yards a catch and 1,000 yards. First receiver to do that since A.J. Brown in 2019 with Tennessee. So, like, it's a unique feat. And the guy that did it before, pretty good wide receiver. So I was hoping that we could unearth him over here. But Indy seems to recognize his value. K-Dot, your thoughts?
Shout out to A.J. Brown, who did a hell of a video about mental health.
The mental health, yeah.
Rest in peace to Rondale
And
Moore.
rest in peace, Rondale Moore.
Do you know the name Matt Jones?
Of course I do.
Who is he to you? Because there's multiple Matt Jones. I'm thinking about one in particular.
Yeah. The quarterback from Arkansas that ends up being a wide receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I know exactly who you're talking about.
As of now, that is the worst prediction I've ever made in the history of me talking about sports.
Oh, you're still burned by this.
JJ might end up being the worst take as loud as I was, but it's Matt Jones. So unless you completely qualify as like sub 6 foot, white and scrappy, I got no faith. I'm just backing away. I got no faith.
Well, I appreciate the history behind your take now, because I did have a couple of people reach out and be like, dude, I think he's sleeping on Alec Pierce. But now we get it. Like, now it makes sense. You're the Matt Jones.
I can't rely on that. I'm not trusting the scrap for guy for being like the physical talent. I don't believe it. But look, I'm being proved wrong. Apparently, black people can't be racist, but I might be close to it.
Here's Vindo, who goes, I'm cool on Aiyuk. Has anyone seen him near a field or run in the last 2 years? And I'm out on Ben Sinnott. Kid, out your reaction.
I can understand being out on Aiyuk to a certain degree. Even though the more and more you hear about it, it's like, this something to San Francisco. There are too many assholes, apparently, just to San Francisco. I just don't think anybody really rocks from a front office to team standpoint. They need to work on that. Maybe Adam Peters was the guy, because it feels like it's getting worse. I understand, at least to some degree, the out on Aiyuk. The Ben Sinnott thing, I'm not there, and I won't be.
Yeah, the Ben Sinnott thing, I think at this point with the information we have, you have to give the kid a shot and not be out on him, because this is as good a fit as he could ask for at this point. Right. So if it doesn't work this year, then I think it's a wrap for sure. I don't know why.
How do you know that?
How do I know that? Because
how do you know he's a good fit?
Based on what? Okay. So here's what I see. I see our offense using a fullback on occasion. Mm-hmm. I see our offense using tight ends, of course. I think Sinnott is able to be versatile within this offense to do both of those things, right? I think he's improved as a blocker. I think we've seen him in pass catching situations, and he's been good every single time he's been targeted. He's caught it, right, in the regular season and postseason, for that matter. And so I think that this sets up really well for a player like him and his profile to be able to flourish in this, based on what I'm hearing. Seriously, I'm very high. I might be higher on Ben Sinnott than you right now.
I don't think you could be higher on Ben Sinnott than me, but I do think what you are higher on is what you think this offense is going to be, because I have no fucking idea.
Oh, I got you. No fucking idea. It's a bit of a stretch.
They want to be run balanced, but I go back to the question I'm not allowed to ask anymore, motherfuckers. So, like, what's different?
Under center. They've talked
under
about
center
it a lot.
more. There's a lot of things you could do under center philosophically. As far as like what you want the offense to look like what they did in Seattle.
I don't think it's going to be single back. I think there's going to be some I form. I'm serious. Like,
I
think we're going to see that.
All I'm saying is I keep hearing a lot of people inferring on what the offense is going to be, and I'm like, based on what? Like they're alluding to things that we want to be more run balance. Okay, we want to do under center. Okay, do you know?
But this
like,
is me also.
If they went to 20 center, that's improvement. So like, I'm just saying, what the fuck is the offense? There's an extreme, and then there's like, hey, we could look like fucking Mike McDaniel in fucking Seattle next year. I don't know. There's a large range.
Dan Quinn is a truth teller. And so that I do. I leave it at that.
I get it.
Yeah, even the exit pressers, when he was talking about Cliff Kingsbury, you and I both could tell the writing was on the wall, right? Other people were really talking about it. It was like, no, he keeps telling us exactly what he's thinking. Like, he's not very good at holding in like information.
I'm just saying you hired the disciple of the guy who the writing on the wall said, I like to do no huddle. And I don't do things on the center.
And now we're not doing that. Instead, you remember?
I know. We're not doing it. I know we're not doing it. I understand.
We like it.
I get it. I'm just saying that there's a large swath of possibilities between what we were doing compared to what it is that they're saying we're going to do. Run scheme, I don't know if we're going to go to more of a zone than what is the stuff that we were doing now. That would look completely different. The run game is so uniquely Washington right now that I'm like, what does that even do, or what does that look like as far as changing it, right? Because like they did try to do some stuff as far as like having Ben Simmons in motion, and he was like the lead blocker for a lot of the run stuff, and that looked good. Are you going to lean more into that as far as like, are you going to go through like, how many teams actually run with the fucking fullback? Like, are you going to do that? That's a vast difference. You can have packages that might look like that, but to say that like philosophically that's what the offense is going to be, I'm just like, all right, that's a big difference, but maybe.
Yeah,
I'm just saying,
no,
it feels like everybody feels very concretely on what it's going to be, and I'm like, I don't know about that.
I feel pretty concretely on what I think we're going to see, but we will see. We will see. Here is Martin Collins going, get everything we need in free agency on the cheap. Take the best player at 7, no matter what side of the ball. In AP, I trust. Now, I'm with the comment most of the way. But, K-Dot, what do you think?
Basically, should we do year 3 of the same thing we did year 1 and year 2? I'm not completely opposed to that. But I do think you have to make a little more splashing here this particular time because of what we saw that happened defensively last year. That's the only thing. Like I look at injuries, and trust me, I give a lot of credence to the injuries. If it were up to me and I could just run it back with that roster from 2024, but you could tell me that they were going to stay healthy, I'm signing up for that. And I know a lot of people might not be with me on that, but because I'm willing to see it. But if somebody told me that if I were to do that, the defense is still going to be trash, I'd be like, all right. I don't believe so, but maybe that you might be right. So, like, at the end of the day, I think right now they just need it. They need an influx of talent, especially on defense. I'd leave for the most part, the offense can be left alone for the most part. Wide receiver, what are you doing as far as running back? But that's it. Defense, you need someone special, period.
Right. So that's where take the best player at 7, no matter what side of the ball I push back on. And I go, it's got to be on defense. Like, I think that's where
it leans that way.
That's where I'm at. No,
for me.
Certainly.
For me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it has to be. And I would be excited if we got Jeremiah Love, or as we learn more about these wide receivers, we get one of the wide receivers, and that's always the sexy fun pick, right? But like, I need a leader on defense for when Bobby Wagner's not there, right? And I think that still looking into it, a Sonny Styles, or more I hear about Caleb Downs, man. My God. Like, I just hope he's there at 7, right? Like, he just sounds incredible.
But if they walk away out of free agency and they got Hendrickson, Lloyd, and fucking Walker, does that change your mind?
Then it can, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but as it stands, in the same way you had answered a previous question where you were just like, as it stands, like, this is what I think of the roster, right? And the deep, like, as it stands, that first round pick needs to be on defense. If we just splash in free agency on the defensive side of the ball, I am open to it being on the offensive side of the ball. Then maybe you get Jeremiah Love, you feel good about everything, and you're like, hey, we're going. Right? Like, maybe. But as of right now, that's what I see. So here is King Showtime going, I would like the following. At tight end, Chigakonkwo. At edge, Odafe Owe. At corner, Alontae Taylor. I still remember doing a preview episode where we were just roasting the shit out of Alontae Taylor when we were playing the New Orleans Saints, but he has gotten a lot better. Then Elijah Vera Tucker with you over there. And at running back, either Hall, Etienne, or White. Breece Hall, Travis Etienne, or Rashad White at running back. And then Cook or Hickman at safety. Cook from Kansas City or Hickman from Cleveland at safety. Those signings would be a great start. I'm also good with bringing Aiyuk in on a 1 to 2 year deal. K-Dot, your reaction to those?
If you did that, it's it. Like, you just,
I was like, that is a great start. I was like, I think that's
how
all.
How many more bodies? Yeah. And here's the thing: if you were to tell me that we walked away out of free agency with all those players, I'd be like, all right.
Yeah. Oh, I would feel like we did a pretty good job reading all this.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then Vera Tucker. I mean, I think that's your left guard, honestly. Here is Rennell Winchester, who goes, a super happy birthday, K-Dot. My top 5, and I think they minimally need 5. Linebacker, Sonny Styles, draft, or Walker in free agency. Okay. Else and Walker in free agency. So it's Sonny Styles, who you draft, and Quay Walker or Quay Walker in free agency. For the edge, free agency, maybe Chase Young. Else pick 71, our third rounder in the draft. Depth in the draft. Tight end, likely Else, Chig, Else, Otten. Okay, I see how this is being. These are a bunch of if-else statements. So tight end, Isaiah Likely. If not Isaiah Likely, then Chig Okonkwo. And if not Chig, then Cade Otten from Tampa Bay. At wide receiver, free agency also has Pierce with a question mark. Otherwise, the third round pick in the draft, Aiyuk, and then Burks. Running back, Rashad White, depth, offensive line, and more. We did re-sign Andrew Wylie, so maybe that satisfies what you're thinking there, Renell. And then Aiyuk, 2 years, 22-ish million with incentives. It may take the second year until he is in full throttle. Caleb Downs, Harbaugh from the Giants said he wants him. This is why Styles is my pick 7 choice. Thanks for bringing up how much of a rush the conference championships are. Sort of like being Pauly. K-Dot, your reaction.
Only one way to live. Just you got to do it the right way, not that Salt Lake City style. You know what I mean? Yeah, the ifs, like there's a lot of ifs. It was overwhelming.
It was a tough read, admittedly, Renell. Like once I got the hang of it, it was cool. But it literally reads for linebacker Sonny Styles, draft Else / and Walker in free agency. It was tough for me to adjust first, but it's cool.
No, it's cool. It's very thorough. You should have a podcast.
Come on, we're taking guests throughout the offseason, especially in June when it's the dead period.
Yeah, a lot of the free agent names. Like I'm cool. Like I'd absolutely kick the tires on a bunch of these guys. Like there are a bunch of dudes that like are just interesting enough. And I think the one that got named in there that I'm probably underratedly, I might even be downplaying how excited I would be about the prospect of this would be Chase Young.
Yes. I think he has had a little bit of a renaissance in New Orleans.
He talks about it.
Looks like the player that he was promised to be more and more. Like I think now with the way we're playing could end up being a pretty good fit. And I don't mind it at all. I don't have any hard feelings or ill will towards Chase Young. Like I think it would be cool. He came back. Yeah.
All those guys are gone. Right. So like at the end of the day, like you could see the way that he was talking, because I did listen to a lot of the pressers and stuff, because I like Chase Young. The same way I kind of still follow Montez Sweat to a certain degree and John Allen. To hear what it is that the vets down there have done for him in the sense of teaching him how it is that he's supposed to be. As far as an NFL player, has done apparently wonders for him. And when you hear him talk, it's like it's now locked in. He's not the guy that's just relying on his physical attributes to get what it is he needs to get done. He understands all the other things that need to happen. And if that's the case, with that hunger and that fire, like that was one thing you never didn't have from Chase Young, especially training camp or in the offseason and anything. The motherfucker's got fire. And I would not mind that kind of energy back here in this building.
And here's the other thing, and it's a subtlety, but Adam Peters did have a little bit of overlap with Chase Young, if I'm remembering the timeline correctly. When we dumped Chase Young and Montez Sweat, that was before we ended up, I'm pretty sure, if I remember this correctly, we dumped them before we get Jaden. And
it was that
and Adam Peters, right? And Adam Peters is hired that February, so he goes to San Francisco. Yep.
I thought they're gone before Peters is here.
Correct.
Okay.
To San Francisco, where Peters is.
So where Peters? My bad. Sorry. Right, that's the overlap. I thought you meant overlap here. Got it. Sorry.
No. So in fact, it's a better overlap, right? It's
not
100%. That he was here. We're out. Now we're back in. It's a better one where we acquire him. We're getting to know the player. He's part of this postseason run. You get to know the character a little bit. Can we trust this guy? I already know Chase Young. So that's sorry. I know I didn't say it the best way, but that's
no. I fucked up. I heard something.
That's something to consider, right? Is that Adam Peters knows him. So if we do sign him, a little extra layer of confidence you can have for those that are in AP we trust. Martin Collins goes, "Hey fellas, glad to see y'all again, and peace." Just concluding his section of the comment mailbag. Appreciate you as always, Martin.
Absolutely.
Chiming in here in the comment mailbag. Vindo going, future topic for discussion is a stat I saw the other day stating that since the year 2000, no top 5 drafted quarterback had won a Super Bowl with their drafted team. Eli was traded from the Chargers, and Carson Wentz got hurt, then traded for picks that ultimately got them 2 Super Bowl appearances and A.J. Brown. How does that make y'all feel knowing we got Jaden Daniels at 2, looking at it from a historical perspective? I personally think we can win with him, but dang, that stat is scary and crazy. Really makes you think about the development of talent, and it's really not about when you go, it's where and what is built around you. And P.S., knowing what we know now, who has a best chance to break that stat? Mine is Jaden Daniels, if healthy, then Caleb, because he just makes plays, then Drake May, especially if they got AJ Brown, disaster waiting to happen. K. Your reaction there.
So the reason I'm so high on that particular draft class is because I do think that they break that mold. That's why I was going into that. And I don't usually feel that high about draft classes ever, as far as from a quarterback standpoint. I'm usually pretty harsh on in my evaluation as far as from a quarterback standpoint. Like I don't believe in a lot of things that other people see or believe in. Sometimes I'm wrong. But I think I have this conversation with a buddy of mine constantly because he's a firm believer in tanking. And I know for the NBA, that's an issue right now. I fucking hate the idea of tanking. And the reason I hate the idea of tanking is that usually the teams that talk about tanking are teams that are perennial fucking losers. You're just losers. And the idea that we would lose games and strategically put us in place makes you a fucking loser. It's why I love Joe Burrow. I never think he's going to win shit because he's playing for Cincinnati. They're a loser. Jaden Daniels, I think, would break the curse here. Because in all honesty, if you're a top 5 quarterback to go to Washington, I'm kind of on the fence. Usually I'd say, yeah, you're never going to win anything because you went to a loser. That's what happens. You see a lot of these guys, if you look back over the years, they had multiple chances at this. They ruined multiple quarterbacks. Look at the New York Jets. How many times they had a crack at it, right? And what does Sam Darnold end up having to go do somewhere else? So like it's those things like, yeah, I hate the bust label. I think that you need to worry about where it is the players go and how it is you develop around them, what it is the talent's going to look like. If I'm a quarterback, especially if I'm a college quarterback now, and I'm like a good college quarterback, and I'm a college quarterback that's like making endorsement money, I don't have any desire to go high in the draft. Period. I don't want to go high in the draft. I don't want to go to a loser because most likely they're not going to do anything right by me to develop me properly because there's a reason they're down there.
Yeah. So this was an interesting comment to read. And as I reflect on it now, one of the first things I think is, man, it's a bit hard because Tom Brady won so many of them, right? Like, he was just that good. So like how many players got close that like Jared Goff got close, for example, right? Like that's pick 1 overall with the Rams, but there's Tom Brady, there's Bill Belichick. Like there's that defense that happens, for example. Then you have a team in the Kansas City Chiefs trade up for Patrick Mahomes, right? Like, and that's Andy Reid. That's already a perennial playoff team that puts them over the top. That closes the door on a lot of other players, right? Yep. That no longer get the opportunity. Looking at it from let's say I put a lot of validity into this statistic, Caleb Williams would have the best chance, in my opinion, because he wasn't a true pick 1. What I mean by that is Chicago got that pick from Carolina. Their pick was pick 9. So they were not a top 5 drafting team. They just got the pick from another team.
Okay.
They had 7 wins, right? So like they were closer to the playoffs than all the other teams drafting. They were closer than New England. They were closer than Washington. Like they're closer than the other top 5 teams, right? So I would say Caleb, because technically their pick was 9, they just happened to get one from Carolina. Do I believe in Jaden over here? Absolutely. Did we see Drake May go to a Super Bowl? Yeah. And he came against an incredible defense. Tom Brady, when Eli wins, came against an incredible defense. It's less to do with the quarterback themselves, agreed, and much more to do with the organization and more specifically these days, the defense that you can put on the field in a pass-happy league, in a league that's dominated by offense. You find a way to figure out how to stop these offenses. I think any of these quarterbacks that are drafted in the top 5 can find a way to make that work. It's just so rare. That's all. I do believe in the organization that we have over here, right? We got new ownership. That's unique. We got the GM, right? That everybody wanted. That's unique, right? Like for this spot. And then Jaden Daniels had the best rookie season of all time, marred by injuries his second year. We'll see which one is more true in year 3. But that's what I think of that, Vindo.
My thing is, I think Jaden's here to turn a loser into a winner. And that's what my opinion is. That's why I think they're going to break the mold. But if somebody put a gun to my head after the 2024 draft class and asked me which quarterback, now we know Drake May ended up being the answer, but if you ask me which of these quarterbacks is most likely going to play in a Super Bowl first, there's a slam dunk answer. Like I wouldn't question it. It'll be Bo Nix. And look where he went. So that's the thing is like at the end of the day, it really does depend on where you fucking go, right? Like if Drake May sucked just enough in college to drop to Denver, does Drake May already have a Super Bowl? Maybe. Like we get to those sort of things, and it's like, yeah, that's why we talk about like when we developing or building a team, and why I love the quarterback kind of being one of the last pieces. And in my opinion, it's that move you make. It's that Kansas City move you make. It's like, hey, there's somebody special there. We have draft capital. We think we have the team. Let's go get that motherfucker. Like that's to me is like the way that I would want to go about it. But I never want to be around picking top 5 constantly and doing that bullshit. And usually, in my opinion, if you earn that top 5 pick, you're probably not ready for the quarterback. Unless you just had a terribly injury-plagued season.
Sure. And I want to be respectful of your hard stop here. So we have one last comment. But I will say that I do like both off seasons. I think we've done the right things. Like we got the quarterback. Mm-hmm. We got a lot of veteran leadership that have been there, done that. We were able to make that run. And then this past off season and getting Deebo Samuel, more specifically Laremy Tunsil. It's not every day you can get a left tackle like that, right? Like we are trying to accelerate this thing. And now I think we're learning okay, let's take a step back. Let's get the talent we need. We'll go from there. Here's the final thought. Go ahead. Absolutely.
Of this entire Adam Peters administration, there are only 2 things I can think of. 2 things, period, that I've ever disagreed with. Marshon Lattimore, the trade for him. Mm-hmm. And now, looking back, hiring Cliff Kingsbury.
Ooh. Okay. I do not disagree with hiring Cliff Kingsbury. I do disagree with you know what? Even in the moment, don't disagree with the Marshon Lattimore thing because I think you're going for it. It just didn't work. So you rolled the dice. It didn't work. Flipped a coin. It didn't. Well, I told you that's when the turning point occurred in terms of how seriously we took the season.
Yeah, that's a mistake.
That was the line in the sand. But the way he handled Terry, I think, was a mistake. And cutting Zane Gonzalez for Matt Gay. And then giving Matt Gay the highest 1-year deal, I think was a mistake. Those are the ones I think are the mistakes from Adam Peters.
Not mistakes. I'm not classifying things that I disagreed with.
Oh, okay. Marshon, I did not disagree with.
Let's say
Cliff, I don't disagree with at all.
Okay.
Yeah. Earl Bruce goes, and this is the final comment in the comment mailbag. Did you have any final thoughts on the last one?
No, I mean I could have clarified something, but it doesn't matter.
Okay. If you feel like clarifying at the end, please do so. Earl Bruce goes, 2024 skewed our opinion of the team. With the abysmal drafting by Ron Rivera and crew, the team was depleted. For Adam Peters and Dan Quinn to rebuild is going to take time. That said, let's see where the team is at if they make it to 2028. They deserve to fulfill their 5-year contracts. Be patient, everyone, and hope Adam Peters nails free agency and the draft. Cleaning up other people's messes is never easy. Keep doing great work, guys. You two are my favorite Commanders content creators. All the best. I thoroughly appreciate that, Earl Bruce. Really means a lot whenever people say that we are their favorite Commanders content creators. I'm doing this from an undisclosed location right now because, love you guys. So kid out your reaction.
You don't need to hide. JD knows where you're at. You're straight.
Well, I got a ton of stunning artwork on the wall right now. So, treat me well here.
So many jokes. There's nothing in there I disagreed with. I don't think it's dead on the way that I feel about the team in the sense of I think you got to be patient. I've liked everything. I think everything is moving in the right direction. As much as the Cliff Kingsbury thing, that's just so complicated. It's so complicated in my brain. Like my autism is just like firing.
I just don't see it being as complicated as you're making as it is for you.
So, I'm telling you, it is autism. That's literally what I'm having a problem because of that. It's because of that I'm having a hard problem with this thing. We could do an hour on the psychology around my brain and what is so hard.
We probably should. I think that would be a really funny episode because when everybody else has been done talking about Cliff Kingsbury, we're like, all right, fine, we're doing this. And that's the title of the episode. All right,
it ruined
fine,
everything for me. Everything is ruined in my brain because everything made sense
for me. It's so interesting. Yeah.
But I just go back to like, I know that I'm higher on this team through and through in the sense of my adjustment from where I felt about this team and the trajectory they're on has varied, I think, less than everyone else. I think I've been mostly felt the same way and felt more in line. Like I haven't varied as far as like feeling really high or feeling low on them compared to I think everybody else has had like reactions.
I agree with that. Can I ask you where you think the Commanders fan population, if you will, is currently at?
Oh, I don't know. I think that like always, is a bunch of different segments of the fan base, and I think they're in extremes. Right?
So when you're speaking to your take relative to who's it relative to?
I like that. That's when it's hard to say because I really do think that there are some extremes. I just don't. I think that everyone's just. I think that this offseason and everything, I do think the fans overall just overreact to things. So like, 2024, is the team as good as the NFC Championship game? No. It's a schedule worked out, new quarterback who's dynamic as shit. It's hard for teams to plan against it. Some luck bounced our way, especially the Detroit game. Things work out. Not to mention Hail Mary shit like that. You could create as much luck as you want to. Some of that's just ball bounces your way sometimes. You just got a year where you're fucking feeling it, right? Minnesota had a ton of those years looking back at the last decade or so. Going into this year, everybody, Super Bowl. I'm like, hang on. The 2024 team is not that good. What are you guys doing? Will they potentially be better overall? Yeah, but that doesn't mean a better record. That was my take, right? Season plays out. I think that's dead on for what the team was. They also got really hurt. Of course, that brings them down a peg. They're right in line with where I thought they would be. So looking long term, I look at year 3, you'd make inroads and you're going to be better than you were that year. And then year 4, year 5, now you're legitimately competing for shit. It's just right now, I'm pausing the brakes on it, even where I was feeling going into this offseason because you just changed the coordinators. Right. I thought we were on the track.
When you explained it like that, right? Like we started here, we're here, but the trajectory is still there and we have the continuity. Now I understand why you're like, okay, why did we do that? We were on the trajectory.
I might not even agreed with all the pieces of the trajectory. Correct. I didn't like the way it looked.
But we're on it.
We're on it. Right, we're on the
now
road.
We're not. Why
you just changed enough variables?
Now I get it. Now I get it.
It's like hey, I've been driving this car and look, man, hubcap's all fucked up. Like that left window don't work. But goddamn, we down the road. Hey, let's hop out and hop in this other fucking car. All right, car looks good, I guess, but I don't know if it's gonna be as reliable as this motherfucker, even with the broken fucking window. I just can't tell you. So like that's where I'm at. I now have more uncertainty than I have before because now I don't know. I don't know what David Blough's offense is going to look like, which is why I keep pushing back on, like, how do you know what it's going to look like? Or defensively, like 3-4-4-3. Like, it looks like we are making some overall changes. So, like, I don't know. I honestly, I couldn't tell you.
Sure. So, I think for me, I'm cautiously optimistic about next year, right? But it's not. So, I think what it would have been, if I'm thinking about the trajectory, is like year 1, those were heights none of us saw, just to be clear, right? Like even when I was like ceiling conference championship game ahead of the season, I even said when we made the conference championship game, I was wrong because I didn't realize how much it took. This is crazy, right? Like that's not how I saw it.
Right.
It was crazy. And then we go down because of the injuries, because to me, Terry and Jaden are just not on the field at the same time.
The vibe's bad.
The vibes are bad. Jaden Daniels is on the injury report after week 2, right? Like that's, so like, what do we have over there? Stuff like that. But this team will get healthier. We'll have Cliff Kingsbury, like, year 3 of it. We've learned from it, right? And the defense can't possibly be this bad. Maybe it is, but we'll get better. We'll work on it in free agency. So it'll be like this. Now, higher probability that instead of here, we're here. But I think that long term, I feel better about the team because of the type of offense that I feel, it's uncertain, but that I feel we're going to implement. Like, I think it's going to be more consistent and safer initially. And as we get comfortable with the concept, then we can really go, and Jaden's healthy. Like, that's the way that I'm seeing it. So that's why I'm okay with it. But I totally get where you're coming from now. I'm really, really glad you explained it that way.
I would say the only caveat I'd use that I said I probably should have said when I was going through it. There is one thing that I was wrong on as far as like where I had them compared to the way they were. The defense was worse last year than I thought it would be. Once again, injuries play a huge role in that, and I still think if they're healthy, they're right around an 8 or 9 win team, which is what I thought they were going to be. So I still think that. But overall, I do feel worse last year about the defense, even with the injuries, than I expected to feel.
Yeah. No, the defense in particular. I liked what I saw from the defensive line when it was healthy. I liked what I saw from the linebackers
when it was healthy.
When it was healthy.
When it was.
But here's the thing: when the secondary was healthy, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Right. Like straight up, I didn't like it. That's why I was like, Ed Donatel, what we doing, buddy? Like, because it's just like, that's the scary part to me. I thought that part where we talk about the ball is life, the ball is air, or whatever. Like, Joe Witt was talking about it. I was like, you're the secondaries guy. You're the pass game coordinator. That part's going to be good. When that part wasn't good, I got scared. I was like, that should be good. Of all the units, that should be the best one because that's your specialty.
Well,
you just got Mike Sanders still. You got Marshon Lattimore. You got Trey Amos, right? Like,
Now we've diverged.
Fair enough. Perfect. Which means stay tuned for another episode of District Divided. And thank you guys so much for listening to this one. I am Amit. That is K-Dot. We greatly appreciate you guys as we nailed the ending over there. And we hope you enjoyed this episode where we talked about Andrew Wylie re-signing with the team on a 2-year deal, Adam Peters and Dan Quinn press conferences. Thank you, K-Dot, for bringing more of that Dan Quinn into it as I transition to Bobby Wagner and Zach Ertz. Would we bring them back as they've announced their intention to return to the league for another season? And then the combine, our general thoughts on it, naming a couple players, common mailbag. So before we leave, if you could please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and K-Dot.
Make sure you share. Oh man, what happened? I keep hitting that by accident. Share this shit. Share it.
Share this.
Thanks for the birthday wishes, everybody. I fucking hate my birthday, but thank you.
But we love your birthday, and we love you, K-Dot. And so we greatly appreciate you guys, and we will see you next Friday, 2 p.m. ideally, though K-Dot and I will need to discuss my schedule coming up. So we'll see when that is, but ideally Friday, 2 p.m. next week. So until then, take it easy. That'll be free agency prediction because then Monday, because the following Monday, it unofficially opens, and Wednesday it does open. So give it a sign.
Look, I know where he's going to be. Apparently, there's a little island. It used to be called Epstein Island.
In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.